If you just overspent your Google Ads budget and you're kind of freaking out and trying to figure out how to make sure that this doesn't happen again, this is definitely the video to watch. I'm going to break through my 7 foolproof methods for how to make sure you do not overspend on your Google Ads budget, pay-per-click budget. Specifically, this video is for Google Ads because this is specific to how the Google Ads platform actually works. But I've actually come from an agency background working on brands like Toyota, AMPM, Arco, Sage Accounting Software, and this is where we're spending thousands and thousands of dollars per day. And sometimes if someone's in there that doesn't know what they're doing, they might make changes and then it may cause ad budgets to overspend, overrun, and then we'd have to have uncomfortable conversations with clients about why things would overspend, and that would not be a very ideal situation to be in. So I'm going to break down my foolproof methods in this video. If you're new here, my name is Michelle. I'm the founder of Level 28 Media, and I help local service-based businesses generate leads from Google Ads. So if you're looking for an audit or managed services and you're spending at least $2,000 a month, check out the link below and I'd be more than happy to have a consultation with you. Now, let's go ahead and take you through this. It is every PPC advertiser's rite of passage: budget overspend. If you're new and you don't know what you're doing and you don't know exactly how the Google Ads platform works, it's going to happen, especially because most of the time, most advertisers don't actually understand how the platform works. So I'm going to go ahead and break down a few reasons here. Number one, why does it happen? Not paying attention. Number two, lack of attention to detail. Number three, this is the main reason I mentioned this, misunderstanding exactly how the daily budgeting works on Google. Now, when you set up your Google Ads campaign, you are setting a specific budget on the campaign level, and that budget is an average daily budget. It's not a monthly budget. So just keep that in mind when you're setting it up. It's your average daily budget. So most advertisers are given a monthly ad budget. Let's just say your monthly ad budget, just for simplicity's sake, is $1,500. You're going to want to take $1,500 and divide it by 30.4 because that's the average number of days in a month, and that is going to be your average daily budget. So if you had a $1,500 ad budget per month, you're going to divide that by 30.4, you're going to get 49.34. That is going to be your average daily budget that you're going to set. Now, keep in mind that there's a little rule that Google has that Google can spend up to 2 times more than your daily budget. So if your average daily budget's 49, let's just round it to 50, then Google can spend up to $100 more than your, not $100 more, can spend up to $100 in a day, because that's just how it works. Because if you have a specific bid strategy like maximize conversions or maximize clicks, Google doesn't want to prevent you from getting the conversions and clicks if your budget is too low. So sometimes it will overspend, but it will not exceed your average daily budget times 30.4 in a monthly period. So it might overspend tomorrow, but then it might underspend the next day in order to keep things in that range that you have set it to be. So if you see your account spending $100 when it should in a day, when it should be spending $50, it's because it's trying to optimize and get you more clicks or conversions depending on what your bid strategy is. But it should not exceed your average daily budget multiplied by 30.4. So sometimes Google will overspend on a day, but then it might underspend in future days to make up for it. So that's how it works. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below and I'd be happy to answer that in more detail. Now, how do we prevent ad budgets from overspending? I have them listed here. Number one is daily account checks. If you're spending, especially spending big money on Google, you gotta log in, you gotta check. Just at the end of the day or even the beginning of the day, checking on the previous day, how much did you spend? Is this in line with what you were expecting? If it did spend double, monitor it and see, is it continuing to spend double? Do you need to adjust your average daily budget if Google is not respecting the daily budget that you set? One other thing that I want to mention is sometimes Google doesn't respect the average daily budget. I've seen it sometimes spend 2 times more than 2 times, because it might see that there's more demand. There's no way for us to truly verify it, but Google might potentially overspend. But if you start seeing a trend over time where Google consistently spends 2 times more than your average daily budget, it might be smart to then drop down your average daily budget even more so that it doesn't completely exceed your monthly ad budget. Log in, check the day before, or log in at the end of the day to check for that exact day how much you spent and where you landed. I know that sounds very micromanagey, but if you're spending a lot of money, you got to be monitoring to make sure that the ad platform is spending what you want it to spend. Number 2, setting up 2-factor authentication in Google Ads. In the settings, you can set up 2-factor authentication. This is going to, number 1, prevent hackers from getting into your account. It's going to make it a lot more difficult for others to get into your account. It's going to really ramp up the security. But the reason why I mentioned to set up 2-factor authentication is because when you set up 2-factor authentication, when you make changes, especially significant changes on the budget, if you're going from $10 a day to $100 a day, Google is going to ask you, is this you trying to make a change? Are you sure you want to make the change? And then you're going to have to confirm, go into your app and check, whatever, to verify that you are who you are and that you want to make this change. Because some of the issues, it's not necessarily not understanding how the daily ad budget works. The issue can also be that someone accidentally put a 0 when they meant not to put a 0. When they meant to make it $10 a day, they made it $100 a day, and suddenly they're spending 10 times more than they were allocated. When you're setting up 2-factor authentication, it creates another layer of security, and it allows you to have a second layer to double check to make sure that this is what you're intending to do, because you're going to have to verify, number 1, that you are who you are, and number 2, that this is intentional and that you actually want to go from $10 to $100 per day. The third way that I would recommend to prevent budget overspends is monthly account limits. This is only specific to accounts that have monthly invoicing. So if you're not doing monthly invoicing and you just have a credit card attached to your account, this is not going to work. But if you do have monthly invoicing, you can put monthly account limits so that Google cannot overspend a certain amount. So if you definitely are spending quite a bit and you qualify for monthly invoicing, definitely look into this and set something up. I've actually had clients use this, and it did definitely prevent overspends, especially when demand was really strong and clients didn't want to allocate more budget. So it kept things pretty tight. And it would email you whenever you hit the account limit, but it's not for every account. Now, don't overset your budget. That's the fourth one. Don't overset your budget, meaning if your daily budget should really be $50 on a $1,500 a month account, don't set your daily budget to $100 a day and then expect that you're going to remember in 5 days to lower the budget. Some advertisers will do this because they're trying to gain momentum and speed things up and kind of rev up the engine to get things moving and collect more data. You can do this, but only if you set a reminder for yourself. But I don't recommend this for a lot of clients because it can, number 1, it's easy to forget. Number 2, it will throttle the system because basically you're telling Google, hey, I'm giving you $3,000 a month. And then every time you change your budget, and that actually goes to number 5, it's going to reset. So number 1, don't overset your budget right here, because you might forget. And then the other thing that ties into this is don't change your budget so frequently, because every time you change your daily budget, the 30.4 rule will reset. So let's say that you have an average daily budget of, let's say, $50, and then all of a sudden you then want to go to $100. Well, then Google is going to open up your ad budget and start spending it even more, which is fine if that's what your intention is. But if you're making too many changes to the ad budget, it's going to throttle the system. It's going to reset you into a learning period. Typically, I don't recommend more than like 20% changes on the daily budget, and then it starts to kind of confuse the system. And then Google is going to start spending more to try to hit your account goals and so forth, more than it needs to. So keep that in mind. You can do it, but it's going to throttle the system. Number 6, set up a pacing sheet. If you want more details on a pacing sheet, essentially what it is, it's an Excel sheet that will show you what your monthly budget is, what your daily budget is, how much you spent so far in a month, how much you should have spent, and what your daily budget should be. I do this for accounts where the budget is mixed, and let's say we have like 4 different locations and they're coming out of 4 different campaigns, and I want to make sure that I'm not bleeding money between campaigns. Setting up a pacing sheet is going to help a lot with that. If you're just like a small advertiser, you've got one location and you're not necessarily concerned about this location taking money from this location, don't worry about that. You don't necessarily need a pacing sheet, but you do need to do number 1, which is daily account checks. But if you do have multiple locations or something that's your billing situation's a little bit more complicated, setting up a pacing sheet is going to be important. If you have any questions on a pacing sheet, feel free to drop them in the comments below, or you want a video. I'm more than happy to take you through a pacing sheet that I've created for some of my clients. Number 7 is having a second pair of eyes. If you're extra paranoid like me, having a second pair of eyes, whether it's a junior level team member or an outsourced vendor, just double checking your account and your work and your numbers. If you're looking at numbers all day, it's very easy to go blind from it. So making sure that you are spending what you're supposed to be spending and that your budgets are what they're supposed to be is going to be critical. Now, bonus over here. Number 8, actually, download the Google Ads app. I have this on my phone, and I just log in to my MCC. I can see all my clients' account. This is how I do my daily checks, actually. I do daily checks at the end of the day just to see where did we net for the day, how many conversions we got, how much we spent. And if we did spend quite a bit, then I can be like, okay, well, maybe I need to make an adjustment, or maybe we need some more time, and then maybe we need to make adjustments after a certain amount of time if it's overspending and overrunning on the Google Ads account. Now, is this a common issue that I see where Google will tend to overspend? Not necessarily. I don't see it as often, but it's probably because I have a keen eye for noticing things and I have all these different methods in place to ensure that it doesn't happen. But it can happen. It's just if you put these seven practices into place, then your likelihood of it happening is gonna be very, very, very little. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. If you implement any of these in your campaign, I would love to hear about that in the comments below. If you learned anything new in this video, drop what you learned in this in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you.